Revelation 2387. From the 28th of June 1942. Grace of the last embodiment on earth. Non-respect. The grace of the last embodiment on earth is not recognized and therefore not appreciated by people. The infinitely long duration of the earthly change comes to an end through this embodiment, and this time is truly short. It is sufficient for the complete transformation into a being of light and does not make too great demands on the human being's will if it is weak and cannot offer enough resistance for long enough. The human being, however, does not use the time for his liberation and lets this last grace pass by unused, mostly out of ignorance of his destiny. But all indications, explanations and admonitions are untrustworthy to him and he therefore pays no attention to them. However, since free will is given to him as a human being, he can also live his earthly life. Accordingly, during his last embodiment as a human being, only one day he will have to answer for it, because he will never remain without any knowledge about how his earthly life should be. For if a human being rejects a grace granted to him, he must also bear the consequences according to divine justice. There is no other path to final redemption, it has to be traveled in freedom of will and faith, and for this purpose God has granted him this last embodiment as a human being. If this time is not recognized as a gift of grace, this is solely due to the human being's will, who resists everything that is demanded of him to believe and consequently also does not act according to this faith. The possibility of being able to recognize God is given to every human being. Wanting to recognize him is up to him, that is, he cannot be determined to do so under compulsion. His way of life therefore only depends on his free will. He can certainly live life but not make use of the graces of this life. And then the embodiment as a human being on earth was unsuccessful and in vain. He will indeed be rid of his outer shell with the death of his body, but he will take the consciousness of this shell with him into eternity and suffer far more from the bound state than on earth, whereas a properly utilized time on earth would have brought him complete liberation, thus complete freedom. The failure to observe this grace has an extremely painful effect. And the time on earth of free will is followed by a time of complete lack of will which the being feels agonizingly and yet cannot remedy. Unless it fulfills what the human being should fulfill on earth. It wants to become lovingly active in the beyond. This will alone provides the soul with the strength again to work on its liberation. However, the unused time of grace on earth can never be completely compensated for in the beyond. Yet God has prepared inconceivable bliss for those who live earthly life according to God's will. They are in truth His children to whom He has promised the Father's inheritance. Amen.